Welcome back to the course. In this module, we'll explore what bias really is, its different forms, how it takes shape, and its consequences. You might find some of the concepts here a bit challenging, but don't worry. We'll unpack everything step by step. Defining bias: explicit versus implicit. So, what exactly is bias? At its core, bias is a tendency, inclination, or prejudice towards or against something or someone. There are two primary types of biases that we'll be focusing on: explicit and implicit. Explicit bias refers to the attitudes and beliefs we have about a person or group on a conscious level. It's straightforward, and quite often, people are aware of these biases. For instance, let's say a team leader openly prefers employees who have a specific educational background and ignores other team members who don't. This is explicit bias in action. Conversely, implicit bias, also referred to as unconscious bias, has a more nuanced presence. It's about the attitudes or stereotypes that affect our understanding, actions, and decisions unconsciously. Imagine a hiring manager who's looking at two equally qualified candidates. Unconsciously, they feel more drawn to the candidate that shares their love for gardening, although this hobby has no relevance to the job. This is a manifestation of implicit bias. How biases form: social conditioning and stereotypes. Biases don't just pop up out of nowhere. They are formed over time and are heavily influenced by our social environment, experiences, and upbringing. It's human nature to categorize and simplify the complex world around us. That's where stereotypes come in. They are widely held simplified ideas or generalizations about certain groups of people. Stereotypes can feed into our implicit biases, impacting our behavior without us realizing it. Take this example. A project manager may unconsciously assign more technical tasks to male employees because of the stereotype that men are more technologically adept. Or a supervisor might be more lenient with mistakes made by younger employees, unconsciously attributing them to lack of experience, while being harder on older employees making the same errors. Consequences of implicit bias. Implicit bias, while it might seem harmless at times, can have serious consequences, particularly in the workplace. It can influence decisions in recruitment, promotion, and performance evaluations, leading to unequal opportunities and treatment. Let's consider an example. The tech company that prides itself on being a meritocracy may unconsciously hire and promote more men into leadership roles, simply because of an unconscious bias that associates leadership with masculinity. This perpetuates gender inequality, even if there's no explicit intent to discriminate. It's important to remember that everyone has implicit biases. It's part of being human. However, by recognizing and addressing these biases, we can work towards more fair and equitable interactions and decision-making processes. In the next module, we'll dive into how we can recognize these implicit biases within ourselves. For now, reflect on the concepts and examples we've discussed. Consider your own experiences. Can you identify any instances of explicit or implicit bias? How might these biases have influenced your decisions or perceptions? Remember, this isn't about blame. It's about understanding and growth.